Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the Deloitte interview experience that was taken by my friend, and I'm going to share the questions that were asked to him, and you through these questions I hope that it is going to help you in case you are applying for that specific role for that technology in the Deloitte company. So the technology, the domain in which that my friend had applied was for .NET with Angular domain. So that you can go to the Deloitte job portal, or you can apply through LinkedIn, Naukri. There are so many ways of applying or through referrals. So once you apply to that company, you have a job interview, right? So your profile goes to a selection screening process, and if it is selected, the recruiter is going to contact you to know about your availability for a time slot. So the same thing happened with my friend, and then that person got the job opportunity for .NET with Angular role. And obviously the questions were related to this .NET domain, Angular domain, OOPS domain. So these are the questions which I'm going to discuss with you now. So the interview was mainly divided into 3 or 4 sections. So like different technology in different sections. So the first the interview began with the recruiter, doing your ID verification. He's going to take a picture of you and he's going to verify your ID, whatever, PAN card, Aadhaar card, whatever you showed during the interview. Next, the questions that were asked. So the first part, the questions were like the general questions, like which company you currently work in, what is your current role in the company, describe about yourself, what type of projects you have done, which technologies you have worked on. So these are the things that were asked in the beginning. Next, the questions were asked from the OOPS domain. So as you know, C# is one of the OOPS language. So, as always, any technical, any interview which is related to Java or .NET will definitely have OOPS question. Like if you have watched my previous interview experience videos, you will see that OOPS is something which is asked in almost every interview. So your basics need to be strong in OOPS at least. So again, in OOPS, the questions were, like the general OOPS, whatever is asked, like what are the 4 pillars of OOPS? What is encapsulation? What is polymorphism? What are the types of inheritance? What are the types of polymorphism? What is method overloading? What is method overriding? So these are all very common, OOPS related questions. Like if you search some common OOPS interview questions, you are going to get these questions only. And these are the questions that were asked: method overloading, method overriding, what is static method, what are the access modifiers, the access that public, protected, private, void. So what are the different types? So as you can see, the questions were very easy. It is totally like if you have basic OOPS idea, you can easily answer these questions. So the next part was related to the .NET domain. So the questions that were asked were mainly from .NET Core, as my friend is experienced in .NET Core. So yeah, as you know, there are 2 types. So the first question was, why .NET Core? Like how does it benefit .NET? And what is the difference between .NET Core and .NET Framework, or the MVC structure? Next, questions were asked from the startup class. So as you know, in .NET Core, there is something called program.cs and startup.cs. So in startup.cs, basically you have all the middlewares. So the questions were related to this middlewares, like what are middlewares? What is this startup class? What are the configure and configure services methods which are present in the startup class? And what are the types of exceptions which are there in .NET? Can we have multiple exceptions? What is await? What is async and await? As you know, there is something called async and await. So these are again basic questions that were asked from the .NET domain. And so if you more or less have some idea about .NET, if you have played with .NET even a bit, you will be able to answer these questions very easily. Because as you see, the questions were totally, like, it was not very deep theoretical questions. It was from basic day-to-day, application use. So another question was related to what is the MVC structure, what are controllers, what is web API, and how can you do role-based authentication, authorization, how do you perform all this in .NET? So again, these are very common questions. I am sure that those who have worked in .NET will definitely know these solutions. And then finally, the third part was related to Angular. So since the interview was for .NET full stack, so obviously Angular was also asked in this interview. Now in Angular, the questions were very easy, very simple, like what are services and what are the main uses of services. So as you know, services is a very important. Those who have worked in Angular will obviously know what are services. And then next question was why Angular? Like what is the advantage of using Angular and Angular versus React JS? Why Angular? Then questions were asked like what are components in Angular? How do you create a component? What is where do you declare the component? I mean, you know that in app.module.ts you need to declare the components. So why do you need to do that? So that was asked. And then there were some other basic Angular related questions like what is data binding? How can you so the two types of forms, like the reactive forms and the forms group. So you know there are two types of forms which are present in Angular. So what are those types and what is the difference, and when do you use which forms? So these were the questions. And what was so the next question was what is I don't remember the exact term. So basically, you know, right, you so if you were suppose you have a date with you, so you know that date has two components, the pipes. Yes, so what are pipes in Angular? So you know you all can define your own pipes in Angular, or you have inbuilt date pipes, currency pipes, which can be used in Angular. So there were questions related to this. And finally, you had to share your screen and you had to do a bit of coding, hands-on coding. So the question that was asked my friend was to implement. So basically, you have a string and you need to reverse the string. So you have to implement this through coding, and you have to implement the Fibonacci series through coding. So two coding questions were there that were asked, and those I'm sure that these two are very easy questions to reverse a string and the Fibonacci series, and these were easily solved by my friends. So these were the questions that were asked in Deloitte interview. And if you are someone who is applying for the Deloitte interview for .NET with Angular, I'm sure this video is going to help you to get an idea of what kind of questions are asked. So you know that in Deloitte there are 3 rounds of interview which take place, and this was the first round of interview questions. The next round of questions I'll share with you as and when I get the questions. So thank you guys very much for keeping up patience and watching this video, and do subscribe to my channel and press the like button. So thank you guys very much for watching this video. See you in the next one.